While Dr. McDougall's program is intended to keep you well and help avoid the need for doctors and medication by teaching you about a healthy lifestyle, if you are currently ill or on prescribed...
Okay, today is December 29th, 1999. We're closing in on the millennium, and we're in Sal and Judy's restaurant, an institution in Lacombe, and we're talking to the proprietor, who is Sal Impastato. Sal is typical American success story. He's an immigrant who came to the United States, worked hard, made his business a success, and is now known and loved throughout the area, not only for his fine food, but also for the fine gentleman that he is. My name is Tom Akelin. I'm the interviewer. And Sal, welcome to Local Legacies. Let me ask you, Sal, you prefer to be called Sal or Salvador?
Sal.
Okay. What is your middle name?
No middle name.
No middle name. So it's Sal Impastato.
Right.
Impastato. All right. And how old are you, Sal?
57.
Where are you from?
Sicily, Palermo. Little town outside Palermo, Chinese.
Say that again?
Chinese.
Chinese. About how many people in that?
8,000 people.
Oh, about the same as Lacombe,
Yeah.
almost. Huh? Yeah.
Small.
Yeah. When did you come to the U.S.?
1960.
1960. Okay. And how old were you then?
When I come in this country, I was 20.
20 years old. All right.
19, wait. When I come in this country, I was 19.
Came here in 19. Did you come to New Orleans or
I come to New Orleans.
straight?
Right, straight here.
Yeah, you had people here?
My brother was here, really.
Joe?
So,
Mm-hmm.
it took me 2 years before me.
I see. So did he like sponsor you or?
He likes sponsoring me.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, just stay with him.
Yeah. And so he brought you over here. You weren't married at the time,
Yeah, I
right?
was single.
Mm-hmm. And where did you work?
I went to Royal Inns Hotel.
The Royal only?
Just was a venue hotel.
Doing what?
I was working in the kitchen, cooking. 9 times I was working as a busboy. I had to have 2 jobs when you're single.
Yeah, right.
And that's what I was doing.
Yeah, what they must have started you out right at the very bottom of the pay scale, huh?
I was definitely. I think the minimum wage was $1.65, $1.60 then.
$1.65. So you had to work 2 jobs just to make it.
Sure.
Yeah. Was Joe in the restaurant business at the time?
Joe, it was a work as a waiter then.
Oh,
I was a work as a waiter at Moraines, Louisiana.
Yeah. And why did you come to the United States? I mean,
Well, you got more opportunity. The best country in the world, America. Sicily was able to make an opportunity to do anything. So I work on the country of making a living. So
what did you do back in Sicily before you left?
Sicily, we was making wine.
Oh, really?
We had a vineyard, making wine.
Well, your family had vineyards. Oh, I didn't know that.
We made wine.
Yeah. Were they well off? I mean,
It was living good. It was a hard work. I mean, just be on the country 7 days a week working. So, I mean, it was a good. It was a happy family, close family. So
how many brothers and sisters do you have?
we all have 3 brothers and 2 sisters. I'm the middle one.
Anybody still left over in the old country?
I got 2 sisters left in all country.
Do they still make wine? I mean, do they still operate?
No, my dad saw everything. When we left, when the boy left, he was ready to retire.
Yeah, and he stayed over there?
He stayed over there.
And your parents still living?
My mom is still living.
Uh-huh.
She just left. She was here about 2 weeks ago.
Oh, for Christmas, yeah. Oh, that was
She
nice.
went back home.
Yeah.
She come from my son's wedding.
Yeah, Jimmy.
Jimmy
right?
got married.
Yeah.
So she was here for that.
Who is Dawn Impastato?
Donna, her husband is my cousin.
Oh, okay. Because I saw her, she's president of the Realtors Association or something. Yeah, I saw her in the paper. Well, that's nice. Well, it's really sort of a typical story of opportunity in America. Because I know your brother Joe now is also a restaurant owner.
Right.
What's the name of his restaurant?
Impastato restaurant.
Oh, that's easy, right, yeah. It's still in Metairie, right?
Still in Metairie.
Yeah. Because I remember, taking your salad dressing
Right.
to him, and as a matter of fact, I might add here that Sal makes his own house dressing, and years ago it started bottling it up and trying to market it to various supermarkets, and now his son is not only marketing salad dressing, but red gravy and a whole thing, and it's an industry that has grown up in Lacombe and is expanding, and wish you well. Looks like it's going to be a real success for you. When you came after you stopped working at the Royal Orleans, where did you go?
I wanted the food beverage management school for a little while.
Food and beverage management?
Oh,
yeah.
I wanted the restaurant business. And then I wanted to work at the All Absent House, 240 Bourbon. I used to cook it, nighttime I would work at bartender in the daytime. So upstairs to the restaurant.
Right.
So daytime I worked behind the bar, nighttime I was cooking.
Yeah. You were a bartender, right?
I was bartender.
Okay, you rang the bell.
Right.
Yeah, because see, that's how I remember you.
I was there in the daytime. Behind
Right.
the bar.
Well, we used to go there. You remember the guys at WWL TV
Yeah,
used to hang out there. Bill Reed.
Me and Bill Reed.
Yeah, and I worked there at the time too. So that's how I knew who you were. I knew when I first saw you over here in Lacombe. I said, "Darn, he looks familiar," but I couldn't place you. Yeah, so it was the Old Absent House on Bourbon Street. Well, okay. Here's a big question now. What brought you to Lacombe, of all places?
Lacombe was a cheap place to buy place. I mean, you could buy a place, I paid $50,000 for this building, equipment, everything when I come in. Could buy another in the French Quarter or in the city for that price.
Oh. So, in other words, you just figured that you were good enough so that you could buy a place and people would come.
Any place, anywhere, I had enough comfort I'm gonna make.
Right.
Yeah, I don't care where I go, I'm not gonna do good.
Well, that's the truth.
Nobody want me to come here either.
Oh, they didn't?
Nobody.
You mean
Sam
your
Marcel.
family?
My family, Sam Marcel, was a good friend.
Yeah, San
They
Marcelo.
live in Lacombe.
Right.
It's nothing Lacombe. It's nothing Lacombe and all that. Don't go Lacombe.
That's
I'm gonna go Lacombe.
Well, good for you. Well, I'm glad you did because you have.
I'm not throwing the place where I want to come in.
Oh.
Be a truck stop.
Yeah, I remember it was, who was it? Shannon, I think, operated it for a while. Then
Yeah,
Shannon
Shannon,
Davis.
When I got here, Tracy Bucco had it.
Tracy
Bucco's
had
son,
this? Oh, I didn't know
his
that.
son Paul.
Yeah.
And when I bought from Paul.
Well, I remember when Bosco had it, and it was, yeah, like you say, it was just a little greasy spoon highway restaurant,
That's all.
and nobody ever made a success out of it until you took it.
Bosco, he used to sell the place and take it back in 6 months. That's how he was making money. He got about 5, 6 different owners. When I got here, I got surprised.
Yeah.
He thought I was gonna do the same thing.
Uh-huh.
I was here to stay.
That's right. Well, I tell you, I can remember coming here for lunch when you used to open for lunch because you needed to pay off
7
that
days a week.
mortgage, I guess. Yeah. And
7 days.
and it was, not real crowded, to say the least, most times. But then over the years, the crowd started.
When it was me and Judy when we started.
Just you and Judy? Yeah.
Judy was behind the bar, waiting on
Yeah.
the table, I was cooking and washing dishes. The last couple of months, first 2, 3 months, we stayed in the back with the kids. We used to sleep.
Well, you live back there?
Yeah, me and the
Okay.
kids.
I didn't know
Until
that.
we get going, and we stayed in a little room in there, the HOV, and Jimmy and Judy.
Yeah. Wow, that's nice. I mean, it's great that,
Well, that's
you,
always, we gotta start somewhere.
right, you had to do it, and
I have enough confidence they're gonna make.
yeah.
That's what I want to.
Well, I know now that, you say,
I thank God now, the good we good.
that's right. Because I can remember, your phone's ringing.
That's
You wanna
okay.
get it? Oh, okay. I can remember when I used to tell people I lived in Lacombe, they said, well, where's that? You know, they'd always get it confused with some other place in Louisiana. And all I have to do is say, well, there's a restaurant there called Sal and Judy's. Oh, I know where that is. You know, or the Crab Festival. Because, see, it's the same principle. You know, when I started the Crab Festival, I said, well, nobody's going to come here for that. It was the first festival in St. Tammany Parish. And I knew it could, you have a good product, like they say, build a better mousetrap, the world's gonna be a path for your door. So, tell me a little bit about your menu. How did you devise that, and, you know?
We got some Italian food, seafood. My menu is not really, I don't really have a real Italian restaurant, just serve Italian food. We serve a lot of different seafood. That's in Louisiana, I gotta have a seafood in Louisiana, that's what people want. American Italian, that's what we got Italian food we have is real good.
What got you?
Yeah, do that.
Yeah. Okay, Sal, you have the Italian food, but it's not, in my opinion, like just any Italian restaurant. There's a certain thing that makes it Sal's Italian food, you know?
Well, we got the good tomato sauce, and we do the real Sicilian food. That's
More Sicilian than I say.
Yes, thing like a Rio Pane, bruschellone, thing like the lasagna, stuff they can make in Sicily. It's more the home cooking food. It's more personal.
I see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We do it,
With the seafood now, like with your crab claws and the calamari, I mean, I have tasted calamari and crab claws in other places, you know, around New Orleans. And my hand to God, I've never tasted any like yours. Again, I don't know, it's just something special that Sal
We're doing
does.
different. Honest, crab claw definitely different than anybody else. Nobody does. Nobody won't take the time to do what I do. You know, it take a lot of time and make it stock and all that for the crab claw. We do different than everybody. Everybody deep fry them, just put a little, saute them a little butter, a little garlic and oil, and we do it different. Cream sauce and it's a different way.
Well, I know, it's absolutely delicious.
It's good to be a different up there, not copying anybody else, do your own thing.
Yeah, right. Well, that's what makes people come here, you know? And how many hours would you say you put in a day?
Well, I'll slow down a lot now, about 12. I think it get better. I used to be a lot of worse.
I know, I remember, you know, you'd be here early in the morning until late at night, I mean, 16 hours.
We used to open every day before lunch and dinner.
Yeah,
Now, I don't know, it's 5 days a week,
yeah.
so it's a lot easier. I feel like I'm on vacation now. I stay about 60 hours at least a week,
Yeah.
6 to 7, but you still.
But you do enjoy it.
Oh, I enjoy it.
Yeah, I mean, you know,
We get a
the
lot of nice
people.
people.
Oh, gosh, yeah.
That's what's important. We get a good cat there, doctor, or lawyer, or Bobby Livingstone come here to eat.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we get a lot of it. The governor,
The governor?
the
Yeah.
governor, the actual governor was here too the other day. Henry.
Oh, wow,
Him and
yeah,
his wife.
yeah, yeah.
I mean, we get good crap there. We got good people.
Sure.
The guy writes from the newspaper. They really hard to write. Said solid Judy looking like a truck stop. I looked at the parking lot, got Rolls Royce, Mercedes, and Cadillac. That's what it right. We give it a real good ride.
Yeah,
Real nice.
well, that's good. Well, you've always gotten
I
good.
don't pay anything.
No,
I
no.
never advertise in my life.
Yeah,
I ain't spent paying advertising.
you don't need to. Your customers are your best
Right.
advertisers,
That's what we do.
no
So,
doubt. And like
stay
I said,
busy.
pardon?
We stay real busy.
Oh, yeah. How many people can you accommodate in here?
We sell about 140, 150 people, 200,
You've made a good living. How many children do you have?
4 kids.
4 kids, and all of them
They're all
married?
doing good. On 2 married. Jovito's tomato sauce and salad dressing.
Yeah.
Jimmy just finished college. together too in school.
They still, Nikki and
Annalisa.
Annalisa, yeah, still in school. What do they study?
Annalisa started real estate. She wanted to go on real estate, and they don't know yet.
Yeah. Well,
Just finished high school.
what would you say was the most important influence in your life? Yeah, or the most important person who influenced you?
My brother.
Your brother, yeah.
My brother.
Yeah. And
So it was in this country.
yeah.
Talk about it.
And your other brother?
My other brother passed away.
Oh, I see. Okay. Now, give me your reaction to Joe V being a politician. How did all that happen?
He wanted to do it.
It was his idea.
It was his idea. I don't want
Yeah.
to. I said, if you do it, support you. I mean, that's
Oh,
what you
yeah.
want to do. Stay behind you. It was his idea, not mine.
Yeah. Well, good. I've talked to him just briefly at my house, and we're gonna organize some sort of a group of people, not just anybody off of the street or, one of these public meetings, just a group of people to advise him, let him know what problems and what our ideas are, to help him become
That's
a
good.
real good councilman, because he does have that potential.
Oh,
He's
he does.
fresh. He's
smart.
aggressive, he's intelligent. I really look for some good things to come out of, him
He's
being
young,
in.
he's smart.
Oh, yeah, I think he'll do well. So, what are your hopes for the future? We're going into a new millennium.
To slow down working and do more fishing.
Aha,
I
okay.
think I want to.
That's good. All right.
Fish a little more than work.
Well, you made some good investments too,
Oh, yeah, I made a lot of
with
good
your profits. So you're,
Make good. I want to keep it working.
you do,
I
yeah.
want to keep the gym in here.
Well, Jimmy's working here.
Jim's gonna take over. I'm gonna be here cooking.
Yeah,
Seeing people. I enjoy it here in this place.
right. Well, I mentioned earlier that, not only are you known for your good food, but also for your good deeds. Because, I know that in things that I've tried to do for the community, it was always Salvador that you knew you could count on, and
Oh, well, I could try to help the community, the poor people, the people that need them. We do.
Yeah.
I just before Christmas, we give a gift to the kids. It was in the newspaper. We give a gift, a little Christmas gift, and
Right.
cook them a hamburger and all that.
Yeah,
Which it was nice,
right. Well, it not only profits you financially, but it profits you spiritually.
You're gonna enjoy it.
Yeah,
I don't know,
Right.
make you feel good as a person.
that's right, yeah.
I don't know, make you a better person, make you feel good.
Well, I think you're a good person, and
Thank you.
I'm proud to know you, sir.
Thank you, me too.
And I want to wish you the best for the year 2000, and I'm gonna send this to the Library of Congress, and hopefully years from now, your great grandchildren say, "That's my granddaddy in there." All right.
Okay.
Thank you so
Thank you a
much,
lot. Thank
Sal.
you.
I appreciate it.
Nice.
The first principle for easy and permanent weight loss is to dilute your meal's calorie concentration by switching from meats, dairy, and oils to starches, vegetables, and fruits. The second principle of maximum and permanent weight loss is most easily stated in the old saying, the fat you eat is the fat you wear. When you eat fats, their destination is the fat in your body. Whenever you eat anything, you take in three sources of calories: proteins, carbohydrates, and fats. Proteins are used to build a few hairs, a couple of cells, and a hormone or two. Anything left over is dumped through the kidneys and out of the body. Proteins are never stored and are only used as energy in a very desperate circumstance, such as during starvation. Carbohydrates, on the other hand, are the preferred nourishment for your body in use in daily activities. You may remember from your high school biology that cells use glucose for fuel. If you take in more carbohydrates than you need, the excess is dissipated as heat. The excess isn't turned into fat under normal circumstances. That conversion would be an expensive waste of energy. Efficiently, without effort, the body takes fat from the fork and spoon and moves it right into your fat cells. Even if you're a physically active athlete, storage is the likely fate of the excess fat that you eat. Your body's so efficient at storing fat that it retains the same chemical structure. If I were to stick a needle into your stomach or thighs and suck some fat out for laboratory analysis, I'd be able to discover the kinds of fats you like. If you eat marine fish, then I'll find omega-3 fish fats. If you like margarine, then your fat will be loaded with trans fats that are typical of margarine. Therefore, the second principle says any fats on your plate are soon going to hang unattractively from your body. The old saying, a moment on your lips and years on your hips, isn't far from the truth, especially when you're talking about fats. So, dilute your calories and prevent fat storage are the first two principles of maximum permanent weight loss. The third principle is just as important. Carbohydrates satisfy the hunger drive. Carbohydrates are what the hunger drive seeks. If I were to ask you, why do you breathe? What would your answer be? What are we trying to get when we breathe? Oxygen. Not simply air, but oxygen. It's the oxygen in the air that you need. You'd be panting and starving for oxygen if you only had a gaseous mixture made of nitrogen, hydrogen, carbon dioxide, and water vapor. How about when you drink? What's your thirst drive seeking? Water. Nothing else quenches the thirst. I know a few of you are thinking beer, milk, and juice. Not so. Only the water in these beverages will satisfy the thirst drive. In the same way, the hunger drive is looking for carbohydrates. You can figure that out by remembering that the tip of your tongue has taste buds for carbohydrates. It has no taste buds for fats or proteins, only for the sweetness of carbohydrates. Your intestine is efficiently designed for the digestion of carbohydrates. Experiments have shown people are satisfied by carbohydrates, but the appetite is insensitive to fats. Many of the people I take care of are desperate for weight loss. A number of very large people attend my clinic at St. Alila Hospital. My first job is to convince these people they have to eat to lose weight. After all, trying not to eat never worked for them before. The first night of the program, I sit down next to the largest person at the dinner table. Usually this is a man twice my size. When everybody's quiet, I'll say, "You look like you can eat plenty of food." Often tales of gluttony will follow this comment. After hearing how they devour a table full of food, I'll say, "You know, I bet I can eat more food than you can." And then everybody laughs because he's so much bigger than I am. I'll continue. "Let's have a little eating contest. We'll see who can eat the most." He and I each take 2 or 3 plates of food at each meal. But in the end, I always win. Of course, during these first few days of the program, I like the food, and they're not accustomed to it yet. By the third day, these same large eaters are eating only 1 medium-sized plate of food. I challenge them. "Look, you're not getting your money's worth. Have something more to eat." Invariably, the answer is, "But Doc, I couldn't eat another bite. I'm really full." For maybe the first time in their lives, they leave the table with a fully satisfied appetite. Before getting into my program, they used to sit down to meals of butter, olive oil, cheese, meat, poultry, and fish. Foods with virtually no carbohydrates. They chew and swallow these carbohydrate-deficient foods, and after one plate, their body's saying, "Hey, that's interesting. Now, when are you going to feed me?" And then they swallow down the next plate, and the body says, "Well, that's interesting too. I'm starting to get a little uncomfortable, but when are we going to eat?" After the third plate, the body is uncomfortably stuffed and maybe in pain, and so that feeding ends without true satisfaction. Remember that feeling of how I wish I could eat some more, but it hurts so bad I couldn't swallow another mouthful? The reason you want to eat more is you're still hungry, even though you filled your stomach. And the reason you're hungry is because you never gave your body what it's looking for: carbohydrates. The only way you'll get control of that powerful hunger drive is to satisfy it. Just the same as breathing. There's no substitute for oxygen. Just the same as thirst. There's no substitute for water. Until you learn that the body's looking for carbohydrates, you will be out of control. Now let's apply these three basic principles for permanent weight loss and control of the appetite to pure white sugar and olive oil and see which is worse. Sugar has 4 calories per gram and olive oil is 9 calories per gram. Thus, by the first principle of calorie dilution, you are 2¼ times better off with sugar. When it comes to wearing fat, the olive oil will go right to your fatty tissues, whereas the excess sugar calories will be dissipated as heat. Finally, sugar is pure carbohydrate with the power to turn off the hunger drive, whereas fat brings little satisfaction to the appetite. The paradox is people believe olive oil to be health food. In truth, olive oil is more fattening than the food with the worst reputation, white sugar. When you switch to a starch-based meal plan, those of you who need to lose weight will lose effortlessly, eating as much as you want, as often as you want, and any time of the day you want. The average weight loss in my program for overweight men is 8.3 pounds in 11 days. For women, it's 4.4 pounds in 11 days. The good news is that the weight loss continues at about the same rate until you get close to trim body weight. Some people need extra help to lose greater amounts of weight faster. People who have dieted frequently may have trained their body to be very efficient. There are a few people with naturally slow metabolisms. Along with women, they may need some extra help losing those last few pounds. Because of their biological makeup, women lose weight slower and with greater difficulty than men, especially the last 10 to 20 pounds. Women are smaller, so they expend less energy. Another basic reason is that according to nature, one of the primary purposes of a woman is reproduction. As a consequence, women are designed very efficiently. An example of this efficiency is seen in women living on marginal diets in the Philippines and in Asian countries where there's just enough food to get by. With pregnancy, their food intake doesn't increase. In fact, it may decrease. And yet they expend 80,000 calories to grow a baby. They gain those extra calories by increasing their efficiency of their metabolism. Another interesting experiment demonstrates the efficiency of the female design. Women are asked to walk on a flat treadmill inside a calorimeter, a room which measures the energy utilization. The investigators found that they could add about 20 pounds to a 100-pound woman's body before she increased her energy expenditure. Now, what does that extra 20 pounds represent? The products of conception, the baby in the uterus. Now that you understand the efficiency of a woman's body, you should respond by walking longer on a flat treadmill. Or walk uphill instead. In other words, increase your exercise program and be stricter to your diet, eating foods that encourage even greater weight loss. I find very few men who have difficulty losing on a starch-centered diet. There are foods you can choose for faster and greater weight loss. Limit flour products like breads, bagels, and pastas. Flours are more rapidly and more efficiently absorbed because of their small particle size and large surface area. Eating more green and yellow vegetables, especially if they are uncooked, is helpful. Eating smaller meals more frequently will also encourage weight loss. You're limited in how much you can modify the foods to increase their weight-losing properties, but exercise can always be increased. This is a very important part of any permanent weight loss and fitness program. Another advantage of this program shows up at the grocery store. You don't have to choose between being fat and being healthy. And the same foods that guarantee obesity also guarantee heart disease, cancer, diabetes, constipation, and most other chronic diseases. Our birthright, the rich American diet, is full of the culprits that make us sick: fat, cholesterol, salt, excess animal proteins, and environmental contaminants. It also lacks essential carbohydrates and dietary fiber and suffers from serious vitamin and mineral imbalances. The good news is that the same foods that keep you healthy also keep you trim. Starches, vegetables, and fruits haven't a speck of cholesterol. They're loaded with carbohydrates and fiber, and they have the right mineral and vitamin makeup. So when you walk down the aisle at the supermarkets, you can make the choice for both good health and good looks with the same foods.
To continue this presentation, please fast forward to the end and turn the tape over for proper cueing of side 2.
Okay, today is December 30th, 1999. We're winding down the last days of the millennium and the American century, 20th century. This is for the Library of Congress to put in the National Archives. The interviewer is Tom Akelin. I'm talking to two of the people who are instrumental in initiating the movement to save Lake Pontchartrain. We call it Save Our Lake. Effort that was made to save the lake, why it was done, and so forth. So, ladies first, I'm going to start with Connie. Connie, how long have you lived and on the lake and made your living from it?
Well, I was born and raised in St. Tammany Parish. I've lived as a child in Slidell, right on the edge of the marsh, and maybe a couple of blocks from the lake. And then we moved to Covington. And then when Cliff and I got married, we moved back here. But my dad trapped this marsh, and we had a camp down here on Bayou Lacombe. So I've been on this lake and in these marshes my whole life.
What was your family name?
Ashe.
Ashe, right. And your dad's name and your mama's name?
Dad was Henry Ashe Sr. and Ella Brule Ashe.
And they made their living solely from the lake?
No, Dad was with Wildlife and Fisheries for a while, but he fished and trapped, and you know, that's how he made his living. He did carpenter work on the side.
Yeah, kind of like most everybody else.
Everybody else.
You know,
Exactly right.
You use the resources when they're available, and you know, then you supplement.
Yeah.
Right. And so when did you and Cliff get married?
September 19th, 1964.
Oh, wow, old married couple.
That's it.
And your children?
Ron and Dawn.
And Dawn. And Ron now, I understand, is a chef.
Right. And Dawn is just getting out of the Air Force. She spent 6 years in there in special ops, and she's just got out this month.
Oh, good. And Ron is working for Copeland's, right? Yeah,
right.
Al Copeland, the fried chicken king, and now he's expanding out into all kind of
in the restaurant
more
business. He's
restaurant
really getting bigger.
oriented. Yeah. So Cliff, I know your family comes from a long line of crabbers and fishermen.
My great grandfather.
Yeah, tell me a little bit about your family.
Well, my grandfather lived in Mandeville. He crab fished in the summer, and they trapped coon, muskrat, and stuff in winter. And they had a little farm and all that. They raised hogs and chicken, cows. Most everybody fished in those days did the same thing. They had a little garden, you know, they sell. They had a couple of milk cows, a couple of hogs. Yeah. They used to have a farm right there on the corner of Marinette where they lived, right across the street. Then the big farm was down there where they call it Batterson Camp, in the state park. They used to raise hogs and had a little farm back in there, but you can't tell it now. All that's gone now. You can't tell where it's been.
Well, it's been built over, you mean, or eroded?
It's grown up.
Grown up, I see.
There used to be a bridge across by a cast stand there when I was a young.
Oh,
You had 3 bridges down there by Route by a cast stand. You went down there, and then you went across the bridge by Paredes Marina down there. That's where the bridge was, right there. You crossed it by the road's still there.
Yeah.
Well, that's what they used to do. And then in the summertime, they shed crab. That was their mainstay. The soft shell crab business. Right?
Yeah, so that's how you got
My
into
aunts
it,
and
I guess,
uncles,
right?
yeah. Wintertime, they haul seine for fish. Trout, redfish, sheephead, drum, catfish, all that. That was what they did in the winter too.
And when did y'all move to Bayou Lacombe?
Oh, we moved here when we started living in Cleveland in 69, 68 or 69.
Something like that.
And
This place was built in 62. We built it as a trapping camp.
oh, I see.
And then when trapping went down, we remodeled it and started staying here permanently.
I see.
And before that, we stayed in St. Bernard. We could fish and trap down there too.
Mm-hmm.
I moved over our whole state, fishing, shrimping, trapping, all our events, Empire, Delcom, Dulag, Cameron,
Yeah.
Gulfport, Mobile, Biloxi, Alabama to Texas, even into Texas, Ohio, Texas, Gallatin, Fish, fished all that. I fished down in the West for 17 years now.
You had your own boat at one time, didn't you? Was that the Windsong?
Yeah, well, we started out with skiffs and built our way up from, just little lake skiff, then we went to the fleet skiff. That's how I started in the shrimping business, just with my aunt. And uncle, Willie Fashion was his name. My name is
That was your Uncle Willie Fashion?
Willie Fashion was my uncle. And I used to go out trawling with him. And, well, that's when shrimp was real plentiful, They looked for the color of the water to find shrimp. They didn't just, drag like we drag today. Drag all over. They had a special color in the water. And that color, you found that color, that was pure shrimp there. There were no fish or nothing.
Can
You
you,
just pick 2 or 3 little fish or crab out of it now and then. It was all half white shrimp.
well, how you mean the color of the water?
Well,
Explain that.
You gotta, like croakers and drum and stuff like that, they got a smell. You can smell them. Yes, I can't tell you what it smells like, but you won't know,
Yeah.
But I can smell it, that we find, speckled trout, they smell like speckled trout. That's what the water smells like there. And it's a little foamy there. Catfish, I can smell catfish. And shrimp. Well, let me go back to the drum and the croaker. When they would get together in school, they would clams on the bottom and little mussels and stuff. They'll make the water kind of a red looking color, muddy red from stirring it up. But shrimp, when they get in the water will turn a light gray. Where these thick schools of shrimp, you don't see that anymore. About 10 years ago, I seen the last school of it like that. That was the last school I seen.
And that was all out here in Lake Pontchartrain?
All over everywhere.
Everywhere, yeah.
They used to haul things shrimp. They were so many. They haven't done that in 50 years now.
So you've seen a lot of changes, mainly negative changes.
Well, no, not necessarily negative. Funny of it was positive in one sense. The shrimping industry, as it grew, it's not a complicated story. It sounds complicated. But as the marshlands deteriorated, the shrimping and crabbing and fishing industry exploded. It falls down there. You have so much shoreline, and what we are is a shoreline fishery, And when you increase the amount of shoreline, you increase the amount of area for fishing, crabs, and shrimp. So when the oil companies busted this country open with 8 or 10,000 miles of canal, that created more shoreline. And when the marshes broke up from all these canals and everything, created more shoreline. Now, what caused it, just being more shoreline, didn't cause it to have all these shrimp and crab. What caused it to have shrimp and crab? When you break something up like that, because all the nutrients that went into the water. And then the zooplankton and the phytoplankton explode. But it's short-lived. You know, after a while, all the land gives up its nutrients. It gets nutrient poured in. And then that same fishery that was once a big empire now crumbles to nothing. And then it's just little sporadic years after that. It's not any years that you can count on that you're going to make a good living. In other words, when we had bad years, then was probably equal to the good years now.
Mm-hmm.
You understand? That's how many fish and shrimp and crab we were catching. I used to run 150 crab traps and come in with 102 to 110 baskets of crabs on a good day. Almost a basket to a trap. We didn't pull trap. We rolled them in the boat. And I mean, a feet skiff, you couldn't put no more on it. It was loaded to vehicles.
Were the crabs bigger and fuller then?
No.
Same
not
size?
necessarily. The size went down in Lake Pontchartrain and everything one time because of the dredging and everything. The lake was getting depleted. You know, it was being fished, and fishing depletes it. There's no two ways about that. Fishing depletes. But when you're fishing a stress resource from dredging and urban runoff and oil companies, you just name it, it just goes down the line. The list is a mile long. You can't just take care of one thing and say, well, everything's going to be hunky-dory. It won't work that way. No, you got to solve all the problems, and you take them one at a time, and that's how we did it. You got to preserve wetlands, that they don't get destroyed. You got to stop pollution, that you don't pollute the water and the air, because everything that's in the air pollutes the water. We knew all this for years and years. Scientists didn't have to tell us all that. We could look in the water. I could tell you what kind of season it was going to be back in March and April before even the season opened. You could look in the water and you can tell what it's going to be like. If the water's clear, it's not going to be too hot. You don't look for much. If the water, you look down in it, it looks like a bunch of little tiny, tiny beads in the water. Little bitty beads, kind of a greenish brown, but they're little tiny, tiny things. You can hardly see them. But they get so many in the water, they make it cloudy. That's plankton.
Oh, I've seen that.
That's the crop coming in.
I see, yeah.
That's the new crop. After all the phytoplankton, all the zooplankton,
Yeah.
all the little crab, all the little crab. And you don't see everybody say, oh, they cleaned up that lake. I went out there and I skimmed down. I could see 50 feet in front of me. I don't like to see that. At that time of the year, I don't mind seeing it when they talk about it. But if that's in the springtime, that's a bad sign. That's not, the water's too salty or something. And it's killing off. Like when they was dredging, the water was dirty. When you got dirty water, it shades the sunlight. And all that little plant life and fish life die. They got to have sunlight to live.
So the dredging kind of like acted as a barrier.
Yeah, it not only destroyed the food chain on the bottom, but it destroyed the food chain on top. And that's why we had to stop. You know, we never did like put anybody out of business. You know, but the dredge boat companies, they sell Dravo and they're bigger now than they ever was before. They're making more money than pouring limestone than they ever did make from the shell.
Yeah. Well, it was a thing that had gone on for so long. They just kind of looked at it as their right to do that, you know, and the hell with everybody else.
Every fisherman that knows any damn thing about what he's doing knows he's going to have to change. We started out with a skiff. We know he's going to have to go to the feed skiff. And then after that, the feed skiff, we're going to have to go to a big boat and work inside and outside. And we know he's going to have to go from here to Texas and to the west, and from here to Mobile to the east. And some of them even went into Florida, you know. We knew you're going to have to change that old way of fishing. Go out there and you back home for 10:30, 11 o'clock, maybe 2 o'clock on a late day, and it wasn't gonna cut it no more. The competition got there, the resource, but there was more demand for the resource, and there was more people harvesting, and you had to compete. At one time, there was 26,000 commercial fishermen. The thing was overloaded.
26
Well,
hours.
what happened, we imported the Vietnamese over here, had to give them all a job fishing, and then the oil patch fell, and they all thought we were multi-millionaires, and they jumped in it. So, besides the regular fishermen and their kids getting into the fishery, then you had all these other jumping in it, and now you're overloaded. And, I warned Governor Edwards back in 1973 that the fishery was going to collapse. And I wrote him a letter and telling him what was the problems in the fishery and everything, and how I thought he could solve it. And he wrote me back some, what's called a crackpot. And I predicted the fishery was going to crash in 1984. I mean 85, I'm sorry. And I was wrong. It crashed in 86.
Yeah, I remember. That's when I got involved with y'all.
86, everything went down.
Right.
Stayed west. It all crashed.
Well, whose idea was it to just kind of, stop this? I mean,
Well,
I know y'all
basically-
from Concerned Crabbers.
Well, we formed Concerned Crabbers. The crabbers couldn't, well, not only the resource being depleted from dredges, but they were destroying so much equipment and everything. And they was telling us where we could fish and when we could fish. I mean, we said, oh no,
Who was they?
Drabo Dredging Company.
Oh, the dredging companies
was
are trying to
us
tell
where we
you?
could fish and where we could fish. And they made zones and all kind of stuff.
Huh.
Where we could fish and what time of the year we could fish. Well, they wanted the dredging, and I said, no, enough is enough of this damn mess. And either they gotta go or we go. And they went.
Hmm. Yeah, I can remember that very well, but, so what?
There was a group of fishermen, Connie and I, Dominic Bruno, my cousin, there was a whole bunch of fishermen who got together and formed all around the lake. They formed the Pontchartrain Fishermen Organization. They're still active today. They've been a whole group formed here and there, St. Bernard Fishermen, all that.
So it wasn't only commercial fishermen then, it was sports fishermen
No,
too?
it was all commercial.
All commercial?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
The sport fishery joined us afterwards,
Uh-huh.
but they wasn't as active as the commercial.
I see, yeah.
Their life did depend on.
Well, now, if Dravo could tell y'all how to do this, I mean, what about the Louisiana Wildlife and Fisheries? Didn't they have?
They were in on it too. They was the one that was enforcing. They gave them the permits to dredge.
Yeah, so they had the power, but
Through the wildlife
yeah,
division.
exactly, yeah.
Yeah, because, obviously, it was the age-old story, big guy against the little guy, and
Mhm.
they were the money,
Mhm.
money people, and had the stroke in Baton Rouge.
Oh, I know.
And,
I tell you,
we did a grassroots organization.
Right. Right.
We went from city councils to parish councils to parish police juries. We just went all the way around the lake, garnering support from the locals, and it was a lot of us that went, And then the first victory we had was at the St. Tammany Parish Police Jury, and
When was that? About what year?
We went to Jefferson Parish, victory over there. They didn't want to meet us.
this was in
St. Charles Parish.
like 88 and 89. We were,
That's when we were at the court. We had public support. We had about 10,000 names on a petition.
Mm-hmm. Well, and then, I remember we had to go before the,
uh,
not the Ways and Means, what was that committee? Natural
Natural
Resources.
Resource.
Natural resources, yeah.
And we were really fighting a battle there because the shell dredgers really had a stronghold in that
Yeah.
committee. In order to get it anywhere in Baton Rouge, you had to get it out of that
Gotta get it out of
committee.
natural
Yeah.
resources.
Who was, did you have any supporters on that committee, or were they all, because I remember the guy from Abbeville, Sam Terrio, I know he was kind of in their favor.
Yeah, majority of them were in their
Yeah,
favor.
I mean, it was
but,
obvious.
But with the grassroots force, and by this time the Lake Pontchartrain Basin Foundation had been formed, which was a great
Right.
coalition of all of these groups that before, we fought this thing for like 20 years.
Yeah.
And it was just, like Close said, splinter groups,
Yeah.
each one trying to fight it in their own different ways.
Right.
And it
The
just,
fishermen going one way, the crabbers going another
Yeah.
way, strippers going another way.
sports going another way.
Sports going another way.
It just,
Everybody was.
nobody wanted it, but there was no cohesiveness to it. And that's what the Lake Pontchartrain,
To draw it all together.
Right.
and that's what the Lake Pontchartrain
That's what the Lake
Basin
Pontchartrain
Foundation
Basin did. And that was funded
And that-
by the Causeway Commission, as I
Right,
recall, right?
Right, that's
Okay.
who formed it and started the funding and got some grants from Senator Johnston and Lindy Boggs. And, they did a massive effort,
Mhm.
and it was no little thing because there was a lot of political head chopping being done,
Mhm.
I have to say that,
John Hankel is the one,
and Robert
who-
Lambert,
and Robert Lambert,
Mhm.
but in particular John Hankel in the legislative end of it that helped get it formed,
I see.
and he's still a big supporter of the Save
Oh, yeah.
Our Lake movement today.
Senator Hankel is, in my opinion, a very good man,
Mhm.
to be, particularly to have him on our side. And how much was the funding? I think, as I recall, it was initially about 300,000. Am I right there?
No, the initial funding came from the Causeway
Right.
to do the study, which was done through Tulane with Oliver Howe. And the initial funding wasn't that much. I forgot what the Causeway took to get it started. It wasn't very much. Everything was in the beginning was done on a volunteer basis.
Yeah.
We had a volunteer heading it up. We had
Who was that?
Michael Conroy
Mhm.
was the first
Like volunteer director?
director,
Uh-huh.
right? And Sheila Shayoff, and that's all we had to
Mhm.
start with. And people donated office furniture. They donated space for the office. It was a lot of work. It took a lot of work to get it going. And in the beginning, when you first start, how it is, everybody sits back and watches. But then with the grassroots that we had going,
Mhm.
and all joined in with that, it started a movement, and then it just got bigger and bigger until the support behind it was so big for cleaning up. I mean, Lake Pontchartrain is a jewel,
Oh, yeah.
and it had been destroyed and ignored and just written off for so long, that when people realized, hey, we can have our lake back, we can use it, we can enjoy it again, and the grassroots movement just kept swelling until it got to a point where the politicos said, we'll be committing suicide if we go
Uh-huh,
against
uh-huh.
this, because that's the people took it back.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I'm always fond of saying, that it started right here on Bayou Lacombe and Cane Bayou with the Crawfords, and not in some corporate boardroom with paneling and carpet on the wall,
Mhm.
in New Orleans. I mean, this is
Mhm.
where it started, and it certainly is a credit to all the people that,
And
helped.
Jerry and Clara, I mean,
Yeah.
We all stood on street corners handing out Save Our Lake stickers. We went to meetings, you know, and this is just grassroots working people taking their time, going out, doing what needed to be done, you know. We went to every festival, every fair, gathering signatures, you know. It was a massive effort.
I remember getting up at 4 o'clock in the
Yeah, I
morning to
remember
go
you
meet
there right with
those
us.
buses, you know, to go to Baton Rouge and stand up around the wall in our homemade T-shirts that said "Save the Lake" and all these big corporate people in their, you know, Armani suits and the polished fingernails and all. They could sit down. We had to stand around the wall.
That's
you know?
okay, we stood there.
That's right. Hey, damn right. You know, we stood up and stood up for what was right, and that's what made it work. You know, and of course, Governor Romer, he was, I guess, the final.
He was instrumental in
Yeah.
it. If Governor Romer had not been in, we would have had a much longer, we would have won.
Yeah.
But it would have taken us much
And
longer.
I'll tell you, there was one, I can't remember his name, but it was with Department of Natural Resources. It was, Gomez, something like that his name was. With Virginia Van Sickle. We had those two as allies.
Virginia Van Sickle, yeah, I
She
remember
was a
that
big
name.
ally.
She is a very good person. You know, she still works in the environmental field on the legislative end today. I think she is with Wetlands Research.
U.S. Fish.
Who was she with then?
She was the head of wildlife and fisheries.
Oh,
She was the secretary.
yeah,
Yeah.
And she was conscientious.
yeah.
You know, she didn't play politics. She played what was right.
But her hands were tied by the directors and everything, the board, you know, of the wildlife and fisheries. They wouldn't vote for it. But she had the power then to do things. And she helped us like pull their permits. And we got the guy in natural resources to pull the permits. And we got the causeway to put them on tape where they were violating. And we had them for 116 violations in 1 month.
That's heavy.
Well, it had gotten so bad that the only shells that was left was right on the shoreline. And they were supposed to stay a mile offshore. And they weren't doing it because that was the only place that they hadn't scourged was right on the shoreline. And when they started digging right as close as they could get into the shore, you want to talk about shoreline erosion, it really, it magnified. And since it stopped, the shoreline's built back.
Because you had aquatic grass growing along the shore, it stops the wave action. And every time you have a storm, it takes that silt and piles it on the bank. Instead of the silt being washed away from the bank, you've got plant life on the bank holding the silt in the summer.
Let me ask you about that grass. I know that it was depleted all around the lake, and that they started a program to replant the grass from Bayou Lacombe, right? And they would take it and then transplant it around the lake. And how has that been completed? I mean, is it pretty much done
Actually, now you just have to let nature take its
I
course.
see.
You know,
How far out does the grass grow, and what depth? Or
it never did grow way out. You know, I mean, it doesn't grow a mile out. That's a shoreline grass.
I
It
see.
grows
6 foot of water.
6 foot
in between
would
the
be
sand
I
bars.
see,
Depending
yeah.
on which species. Vallisneria is down from 6 foot of water.
Say that again, Vallis.
Vallisneria.
Vallisneria.
Grass.
Uh-huh.
But the other grass that's very good too is the rupia. That grows close to shore. And that's it's a fine grass.
Yeah,
And Vallisneria is wild grass.
yeah, okay. All right. And the Vallisneria grows further out in a little deeper water?
Right.
Is that okay?
But that's your nurseries.
Okay.
You know,
Let me change this tape. It's about to run out, and I'm going to ask you a come back and talk to you about the next